Hello, I'm Otto, and welcome back to the Dyson Sphere program. So in the last episode, we set up some outposts on some other planets, and those were in other star systems than our own. We also protected those star systems with some missile turrets, and then came back here, set up some assembling machine Mark III, and started to place some blueprints, but there were some that I placed off screen afterwards. Largely because I don't want to bore you guys with the same thing that I've been, kind of showcasing on, several different episodes. I think at this point you know how to convert a 3-ingredient or a 2-ingredient build into a different build for another item that uses the same amount of ingredients. So something that I wanted to mention before we get going on this episode. So we use the missile turrets to kind of defend our outposts. And one thing that I completely forgot about was after we clear out the dark fog on the planets that we're on, you then want to add in the upper air defense, the priority on the upper air. That is because these will not target the relay stations that are coming in from the hive at all, unless the upper air is attached. And again, once they destroy the relay station while it's still in space, that does not count towards the threat against the hive. It will not attack the relay station if it is just the space. So I'm not going to add that into the blueprint because that is something that you want to do after. You don't want to have a situation where you just place the blueprint and then all of a sudden you're being attacked by the dark fog hive. Also, talking about the blueprint, afterwards I did kind of test out placing it a little bit and realized that I needed a little bit more space. So the blueprint is still basically the exact same, but I did kind of space out some of the items just a little bit. In particular, the fusion power plants, the mini fusion power plants from each other, and the ILS, and then the missile turrets from the ILS. So that has all already been added. As of this recording, I haven't posted that blueprint yet, but just know that if you do use that blueprint, it is updated. Another thing that I did with that blueprint was I don't know why I was thinking that I didn't need the drones. I definitely did, and the reason why is because we needed the drones to be able to distribute the the space warpers. Yes. So we needed that to import the space warpers and then distribute that to other ILS in the area. And oddly enough, I also forgot to add in the space warpers to some of the builds that I'd placed for collecting like the sulfuric acid and grading crystals. So I did have to go back and add those back in, as well as update the settings on the missile turrets. But again, that is a blueprint that you place. You take care of the dark fog on the planet if you want, and then adjust the settings for the upper air after. Okay, so one more quick thing. Whenever it comes to the babs on our dark fog farm, so I did actually have this set up like this, and then I don't know, let's say turbines. This wasn't actually collecting anything, and I didn't realize that I had set it up this way, but so I did go and made sure to filter the bab and open this wide up. So we are going to be collecting some of that soon, now that our our bases on the farm are, some of them, the two that are nearby are up to level 14, and the other ones on the planet are up to level 8, which is pretty awesome. So that is going great. Alright, so in this episode, I want to talk a lot about the production tab. This is something that we've largely ignored. But before we do that, we are going to set up some green science, which we have already prepped for. And then we're also going to be slowing down some of the production of some of the items. One of those is going to be, for instance, the organic crystals. We have organic crystals tapped as a mineable resource on other planets, so that means that we can actually get rid of this build. So we're gonna open this wide up so that whatever is in the machines can come back out. And oh, that is filling up fast. Yeah, we'll just open that all the way up, and then these we're gonna completely close off because we don't want to bring in anything else. If you remember from somewhere just before the yellow science, we did determine that the organic crystals was a 1-to-1 pairing with the plastic. So we did add 2 plastic builds, so we can also remove one of these. Open that wide up. We are also going to be converting our diamonds, since we have kimberlite ore, we can, instead of using the energetic graphite, we can use the kimberlite ore. So I just want to go through and deplete some of these. Another one is for sure the silicon, the whatchamacallit, crystal silicon. So we are not going to be using the high purity silicon anymore. We're going to be using the fractal silicon that we've tapped on the other planets. So same thing, this one we can just open this wide up. This one is a little bit different because this one is the only blueprint that we can't just convert. The fractal silicon uses assembling machines rather than smelters, so we can't just convert this. The diamonds we can convert, and then obviously the plastic and the organic crystals where you're just going to be removing. With this, the carbon nanotube. So we do have, you can see in the middle on the bottom, that is stalagmite crystals. We're going to be keeping this one just because it's one of those things where it's nice to have a mix on some items. The organic crystals and sulfuric acid, as you will see in a minute once we get into the production tab, not that big of a deal. Oh, and sulfuric acid, we can drop this one down as well. Open that wide open because we have sulfuric acid tapped. Okay, so let's get the green science set up. Oh, we should have unlocked it. We do not have that unlocked. Okay, so let's unlock this. Take about a minute and then we'll be back. Okay, and the gravity matrix is done. So now that we've unlocked the green science, there's a few things that we want to do. If you're using one of my blueprints, then you would have, you're going to be like questioning what the heck is going on, but this would have already been set up for you, so it will actually save this ahead of time. And so for those of us that are following along or doing this on the fly, we do need to copy and paste this through. Okay, so now that that is set up, we can add that into here. So we're going to leave this wide open, and then the ingredients, the graviton lens, and the quantum chips. We're going to set these to 1,000. We probably don't need that many. We could probably do 500 and 500 because the craft time is 24 seconds and it only needs one of each. So that is plenty of time to get tons of these in. You will see very soon though that quantum chips are going to be a little rough, but we're going to use the production tab and kind of show how to go about solving that problem. But we do want to get some more of this set up first. So we need to go ahead and request these in. Obviously the quantum chips, nothing coming in. That is perfectly fine. And now that we have that set up over here, we need to set that up on the receiving side as well. Oh, that is bad. What? Oh, I didn't set this up. All right, well, that's not too big of a deal. Just means we've been wasting a lot of what we have. Okay, so we're going to request this in, again, wide open. And then that is going to be set up here. So we need to filter that for the gravity matrix. And just because we can, we are going to go ahead and unlock this. That is an absolute must. I'm not worried about the plane filter or the, what is it called? Yeah, plane smelter just yet. And the reason why is because this needs the unipolar magnets. And we can actually get to the unipolar magnets. The downside is that we can travel on our energy about 9 light years, almost 9 light years. Oh, finally we have a seed. Just one? Yeah, just the one seed. Let's see if we can see where it's going. Whoa, okay. It's like it's heading to this star. Yeah, and it's going to take that many, many, many hours to get there. Anyways, back to where we were in the center of the universe. The unipolar magnets are only available on the neutron star and the black hole. The black hole is over here. So the black hole is 30 light years away, the neutron star is 40 light years away. So that means that to get to 30 light years, we would need to make this trip just in a straight line and wait for our power to come back 4 times, it is, again, something that we could certainly do if we wanted, but I'm not too concerned with it. And the main reason why I'm not too concerned with it is because we don't really have any kind of ability to supply these anyways, so it's really not that big of a deal. Let's go ahead. So we've added that in, and we can also do the chemical plant. That is probably fine for now. We want to get to this destroyers soon, maybe the plasma turrets, which we could have done already. Great. We are so close. We're nearing the end of the game. Some of this other stuff you could certainly add in if you wanted to. There's a lot of room on the kind of lower sections of the planet. So these bands down here, there's lots of room down here if you wanted to add in some, let's say, some ammo builds or some builds for some of the other explosives, which we haven't really gotten into because it starts with the combustible units, which are available via the assembling machine. These, however, require the chemical plants. Both of them. Yeah. Chemical facility. So, I've never really messed with these too much, so I'm not too concerned. Same with these. We could upgrade these, but then they, you kind of need this to make that, and same for the crystal one. You need this to make that. So, I mean, it's totally up to you. It is perfectly fine using the regular version of what we have. Anyways, so as you can see, we are not producing any of the green at all, and that is not that. That is because of the quantum chips, and the quantum chips are having a hard time because, well, these right here, the processors. So let's talk about the production tab a little bit. We could totally have some manual influence over this if we wanted. Again, right now I'm not too concerned. I would like to get to the miner as soon as possible. What we could do is grab some of the iron ingots and manually take them over to the circuit boards, and then as we wait for the circuit boards to be crafted, grab some of these. Again, this is not, I don't really recommend this. If you just really wanted to get to the processors, then, or sorry, not the processors, the advanced miners, then by all means, you go right ahead and do this. But yeah, just showing this for the purpose of, kind of showing that. Anyways, then you would do the same thing with the processors, take those over to the, yeah, we're not going to play like that. But how do we know how much more of something that we need? Well, we can use the production tab, which is, you can either go over here to the statistics panel or you can hit P. And yeah, we have this lovely thing that is kind of showing everything that is being crafted at the moment. And you might be looking at this and thinking, wow, that's just a lot of numbers. This looks really confusing. It maybe is a little at first. But we're going to go through and kind of peel this open and kind of see how can we use this to our advantage? How can we maybe figure out what we're doing right or wrong on the fly without having to go, okay, well, I don't have any circuit boards. And the reason I don't have any circuit boards is because, well, is it because we don't have enough production of the circuit boards? Oh, look, we don't have any iron ingots. We don't have any iron ingots because we don't have nearly enough production or incoming or whatever. That's not the way you want to do it. You can definitely use the production tab, and I'm going to center myself over here because we're going to be using this as an example shortly. Okay, so the production tab. Let's look at the quantum circuits, or the quantum chips. And the reason why I can't look at the quantum chips because we haven't actually made any in the last 10 minutes. Okay, quantum chips. Now let's see if we can find the quantum chips. Should have some being created now. There we go. Okay, so looking at the quantum chips, you can kind of see over here, this is what we're producing. The bottom side would be what we're consuming. This is what we've produced per minute in the last 10 minutes. So that's kind of how you can start to use some of this to figure out what's going on. You can also filter, like in total, this is what we've done total, this is what we've done in the last 100 hours, this is what we're doing in the last minute. So you can kind of filter that as well. I also like to use the entire star cluster because it really doesn't help to just do whatever planet you're on, because that doesn't really paint the big picture. Okay, but as you're skimming through this list, this is how many we are actively producing. This is how many we are actively consuming. The reference rate over here, the blue reference rate, this is actually how many we are capable of producing if this were completely fully saturated, this build. So if you recall, we have 40 assembling machines within this build, and they are obviously making, what is that? One every 6 seconds? I can just look right here. What is that? Yeah, one every 6 seconds, which is how we get to 400 per minute. The second number, the reference rate over here, the orange one, is of all the builds that we have in the entire star cluster, if everything was fully saturated with quantum chips, how many would we be consuming? And the answer to that is 240 per minute. So this includes everything that has been, almost everything that has been touched, with the exception, anyways. As you start to set things up, you can kind of take a peek back and forth. This is how many we are capable of producing. This is how many we would be consuming if this was fully saturated and everything. Okay, well, we're obviously not producing anything, so how do we determine using the production tab? And we're going to focus on this section first. We'll talk about this after. So we can also look at this. If you click on this icon, this is showing what this is being consumed in. At the moment, it is only the gravity matrix. And then if you do the top one, that shows the ingredients of the item. So the ingredients are the plane filter and the processor. So if we just look at this and we say, okay, why are we not producing any? Well, we're not producing any maybe because of one of these ingredients. So if we look at the processors, we are producing 264 per minute out of a potential 800. But the amount that can be consumed through all of our builds is 2832. So we are obviously in dire need of the processors. We need at least 4, let's say 5, no, not quite 5, 4 of the processor builds extra on top of what we already have. That's a lot. Like it's been hard enough just applying the processors by themselves. If you remember from an earlier episode when we first started making the processors, I believe the green circuits, the circuit boards, this was a 1-to-1. So that means for every one of these, bare minimum, we need one of those builds of the circuit boards. Nope. Let's get back to the quantum circuits. Where do those go? Yeah. It can be a pain to kind of, let's just use this as a reference. You can also favorite some of these, so, excuse me. Yeah, it can be a little bit of a pain to use this, but you can also add in favorites. It's a little bit weird with the favorites too, because let's say that we favorited, what else can we do? Let's say the green circuit boards. Let's add those number 1. So you can go to your favorites and say, okay, I want to look at everything that's in group number 1. Well, the downside of that is if you then use reference rates, this is showing you the materials of this, but because you have the favorites highlighted, it's not showing you these. So that is kind of the downside of using the favorites. I still use it. I will add all of my sciences to group 6. That way I can quickly, without scrolling wherever, kind of get a view of what's going on. Anyways, let's go back to the quantum chips and its buddies. So we would obviously need 3 more plane filters. Wow. So this is 1 build worth. We would need 3 more to get to the 800. And the plane filter is mostly only used for the quantum chips. It's used for other things too, like for instance the plane smelter. Okay, so that is kind of how we use this. Now, you might be tempted to look from the bottom and work your way up. So like, let's take a look at the iron ingots. Obviously, we've only been working on one build for a lot of these different things, and the iron ingots is certainly one of those. We've only placed 1 of these. But as you can see, while we are capable of producing 8,100 per minute out of the single smelting build that we have for iron ingots, we are consuming about 4 times more, 3 times more than what we were producing. So you might be tempted to go, okay, well, I need 2 more smelting stacks. So you'd place those 2. But the problem with doing it that way is you would then place this, but then you might later on say, okay, well, the circuit boards, maybe we need some extras, because if we are short on the circuit boards and we have to add a bunch more processors, well, I need 3 more of these. Well, that's going to increase the number of ingots that you need. So this number here is going to go up. That's why I would strongly suggest, and that's also why I've waited until this point to talk about the production tab at all, is because it's usable, but it's a lot easier to kind of figure out everything that you need once you have the ability to make all or most of the major components. And the quantum chips was largely the last part of that. I mean, technically the green science was the last part of that, since this is also consuming other items. But yeah, that's how I would work that. Is we would look at this and say, okay, maybe we have enough of the quantum chips, but we obviously need a lot more processors, and then start working your way back the chain. So then you would go, okay, well, if I need 4 of these total, well, then I'm going to need like 5 or 6 of the microcrystalline components, and I'm going to need an extra 3 of the circuit boards. And then you would place those, and then you would go, okay, well, how much more of the copper do I need? How much more of the silicon do I need? Or going to the circuits, like same thing, like how much more of the copper do I need here? And you can kind of see that because obviously different items use different ingredients, and some of those ingredients overlap, you can kind of see how it's better to work your way back. You could also maybe go to the tab over here and start largely on some of these in the lower sections and just start working your way back up. That's maybe another way of doing it. Anyways, something else that I wanted to point out is that in that production tab, it also calculates for you whether or not something is proliferated. So if we take a look at the Deuteron fuel rods as an example, we can see that we are capable of producing 477.5 per minute. Now that's kind of an odd number, considering that we have 40 of the assembling machines over here making them. And if you scroll over that, you can see that, yes, we have 40 total making it, but it's kind of weird because we have 9 that are normal and 31 that are proliferated. So that is actually, like, the proliferation is calculated in the different reference rates. And you might be wondering, well, why is that the case here? And the reason for that is, well, if we click on this one, you can see that the ingredients here are all proliferated. If we click down here, you can see that all of these ingredients are proliferated. But if we take a look at some of the ones up front, none of these items are proliferated. And you might say, well, why is that? We have the proliferators here, the spray coaters. So shouldn't this all be proliferated? Well, the problem with that is that we added in the proliferators after we created this build. So these just have not actually had a chance to deplete their product and bring in the proliferated materials. So we can open this, let's say wide open, and go back to this, and then you will, as you start to refresh this, you will see that this will go from 9 that are normal and the 477 Now it's 482, 490, 500. So now all 40 of them have been proliferated. And again, that's just to kind of showcase that it does take into consideration whether or not something's been proliferated. Okay, so I am probably going to start placing some more builds. I will start tearing up stuff like this. We obviously do not need empty copper mines. And pretty soon I'm going to take some of these down too. It's probably... we can probably get away with just removing some of these after the lines have been cleared. And let's take a look at the silicon. This one is probably also fine to remove. Obviously we're not going to remove this, or we could also take just a dummy ILS, drop one over here somewhere and collect the ingredients and make those available to the network. But I am going to be doing a lot of that off screen. Like I said, I kind of don't want to bore you with some of the stuff that we've already gone over. So, you know, there's no point in me being like, hey, watch me place this build again. So, yeah, I'll be doing a lot of that in between this episode and the next. And hopefully, while I'm doing that, we will unlock the advanced mining machine, and we're going to start populating some other planets. Yeah, we're going to tap a lot of the resources out there in the galaxy. And yeah, we're going to be doing that in the next episode. So, that is going to be it for me. We're also going to set up a build for a couple of these other things. Maybe we can just squeeze those in super quick at the beginning of the episode or something, and then go grab some advanced miners and go mine some extra stuff around the galaxy. Okay, so that is going to be it for me. I will see you in the next episode, and thanks for watching.